And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. So do me a favor, hit subscribe, watch, comment. Please keep the comments coming and share with your friends because the stupidity is endless. When I'm talking about stupidity, just think about yesterday when Linda McMahon testified before the House Education Committee regarding her budget. And there was a scathing, absolutely scathing cross-examination. Representative Takano asked Linda McMahon if it was legal to punish, imagine this, is it legal to punish private entities for having different viewpoints? Play the clip.
Madam Secretary, good to see you again. Let's get right to it. Madam Secretary, do you believe that the federal government is legally or constitutionally permitted to punish a private entity for having a different viewpoint than the administration?
What do you mean by that?
Well, does the government have the power, or legally, or is it legal or constitutional for you, the Secretary, to punish a private entity for having a different viewpoint than the administration?
I don't know what you mean by punish. Can you be more specific?
Well, let's move on. Apparently, I don't want to get into this back and forth on this.
Yeah, could you imagine? It's so good when you don't want to answer a question what to do. Trying to say, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by the term punish? Well, are you talking about torturing somebody? Are you talking about jailing them? As if Linda McMahon, the Secretary for the Department of Education, doesn't know what the word punish means? Representative Hayes then asks McMahon if she thinks that Holocaust education is a DEI program. Play that clip.
Two really quick questions. Do you think that Holocaust education in our schools is a DEI program? There's no card for that. That's just yes or no.
I can look at it whatever card
Holocaust
I choose.
education, is it a DEI?
Much.
You can have a press conference to say whatever you want. I just need a quick answer to
Your
this.
soliloquy
Is Holocaust, because this is my time, is Holocaust education a DEI program?
No.
Is African American Studies a DEI program?
I think I answered that with one
I'm
of the
asking
other
it again.
callers. Listen, we should
Just
be able,
yes or no?
We should be able to teach courses
My
in their
point is
entirety.
they are DEI programs, both of them, because students need diversity, equity, and inclusion to understand their environments. So both Holocaust education and the teaching of African American history are important, which is why the state of Connecticut requires it in our social studies curriculum. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. You can't support one without supporting the other. And looking at what happens in the schools and actually deferring to teachers, parents who are on curriculum committees, local boards of education in states who actually do the hard work and listening to what they say would be incredibly helpful in this role.
It's time to move on.
It's amazing. You know, I hate this shit where, you know, you got the 5 minutes and so on, and they usually bring these up at the very end. How about just start it off? If all the Democrats would actually get together and each one just ask one question, just one question. Let's say there's 30 people, 30 on that committee. How about each one ask a different question? And then keep asking the same question until your 5 minutes are over. Maybe we could get out of Linda McMahon what it means to be punished for not having the same viewpoint as this administration. Maybe then that this young lady would be able to turn around and to explain to Linda McMahon that she's not at a WWE board meeting. She doesn't control shit. She is a government employee. She works for us, the American people. Meanwhile, Hayes mentioned that there was literally no card for her question, which of course she's referring to the fact that Linda McMahon has an aide there who was throughout the entire hearing handing her index cards with answers, responses. Abby Phillips then on CNN broke it down on her show. But I want you to wait until the end of the clip to hear legitimately how little Scott Jennings expects from Linda McMahon. Play that clip.
As she's trying to answer a question, an aide is sitting there with a stack of note cards, presumptively with answers on them. This is almost like getting help on an exam. I mean, I don't, look, presidents can pick whoever they want in their cabinet. That is definitely true. But this president has also said that it's about merit, that they want to get DEI out of every part of American life. Why on earth then do they have someone who seems not prepared or qualified perhaps for the job that she's been placed in?
You know, the main difference between this cabinet and the Biden cabinet is that these people are actually allowed to go in and see the president, unlike the Biden cabinet, who were apparently not allowed to see
Are you
the
going to
sitting president.
answer? Are you
That's
going to
not true.
answer for?
The only
Are you going to
thing-
answer
the
for
only
this, or are you
thing-
going to change the
The only
subject?
thing I care about for the education secretary, the literal only thing I care about, is what they are doing to close the Department of Education. I don't care how many books she's read. I don't care what answers to gotcha questions she has. I just want to know how quickly can we close
How is
the
that a gotcha
department?
question to ask? Do you know what the Tulsa Race Massacre is, or do you know who Ruby Bridges
You know what the
is?
answer to that question is?
He's so fucking pathetic. But you know what? What's even more pathetic is that CNN has him on. He is a paid commentator by CNN. And anybody that watches that shit, shame on you. You know, I happen to like Abby Phillips. I hate her show for exactly that reason. You ask a straightforward question. You're paid, schmuck. You're paid just to give your opinion. Don't turn the question. He doesn't care? Well, then why are you even on? Meanwhile, Representative Lee asked if social studies class will teach that Biden won or lost the 2020 election. Play that clip.
Okay. How about social studies standards that teach that President Biden won the 2020 election?
I think our studies should all be taught accurately.
Yes or no?
I think our studies should
No.
be taught
The
accurately.
question was, do you believe that social studies standards that teach that President Biden won the 2020 election is an illegal DEI? Yes or no?
I think I have said we should teach accurately. We should.
No,
be
you have
on all
not answered
sides.
the question.
Well,
I
am
don't
answering the
understand
question.
why you're incapable
I'm
of
just
answering.
not giving you the answer you want. but
No, I want
answered
the answer,
questions.
whatever your answer is.
I just gave you the answer.
No, the answer is yes or no.
No, the answer is I think
the
our
answer is yes
courses
or
should be
no.
taught accurately.
Gentleladies,
Thank you so much. I yield back.
Again, they do it at the very end. I would ask that question for 5 minutes straight and let somebody ask a different question. Meanwhile, Representative Lee also asks McMahon if it would be considered illegal DEI to teach about the Tulsa Race Massacre, Read Through My Eyes by Ruby Bridges, or to celebrate Pride Month. Play that clip.
That I would like your thoughts on, simple yes or no. If this is a legal DEI, an example, would you say that it would be an illegal DEI for a lesson plan on the Tulsa Race Massacre?
I'd have to get back to you on that.
Do you know what the Tulsa Race Massacre is?
I'd like to look into it more and get back to you on it.
Okay, so I look forward to that. How about the book Through My Eyes by Ruby Bridges, for instance?
I haven't read that.
Have you learned about Ruby Bridges?
If you have specific examples you'd like
That
to
was a
cite,
specific example.
I'll be very happy.
It was
for
an
you-
incredibly
for
specific
you to
example.
submit
I named
those
a
in your
specific book.
questions, and I will look into it and get back to you on
Thank
them. I
you.
look
How
forward
about
to
a
answering them
school
directly.
having a voluntary celebration for Pride Month?
Well, I think that.
Voluntary.
Well, let's make sure that in our schools.
This is yes or no?
We're looking. No, it's not.
Okay.
Again, it's truly, why not start out? Like if I was Representative Lee and I worked for her, I would say, here's how you got to start out your questioning to somebody like Linda McMahon. Do you know the difference between yes and no? And let's see what she says. Obviously, she'll say, yes, I do. Excellent, excellent. All my questions are either yes or no. There is no other answer. And move on that way. Meanwhile, Representative Casa brought up the big, beautiful bill and then asks McMahon if she knew how much money that she would get in benefits from the bill.
The gentleman from Texas, Mr. Kassar.
Secretary McMahon, thank you for joining us here today. Right now, the administration that you're a part of is pushing for a massive tax break for billionaires paid for by massive cuts to health care and food assistance for everyday Americans, including to the children that you're charged with educating. You yourself and your family, as a billionaire family of wealth of about $3.2 billion, can you share with us, do you know how much you and your family will receive in tax benefit if this Republican tax proposal gets pushed through?
No, I've not sat down and worked with my accountants on what tax. I can tell you most.
You have
of the
a general sense?
Well, I
Is
can
it
tell you
millions
last
or
time
tens of millions?
taxes went through, I paid more.
And so you think that under this proposal, you will not, like the other billionaires, get millions or tens of millions of dollars in tax benefit?
I think this is kind of a ridiculous line of
No, it's
questioning.
not ridiculous, because here's what's important. The biggest bill being pushed by your administration for your average extremely wealthy person would give about a $4 million benefit. Your family's worth about $3.2 billion. So I imagine that you'd get millions of dollars in benefit from this tax bill. Does that make sense? Does that check out?
I don't know. I'd have to let you know.
Let's just
I'd ask the member
Chairman,
how this refers to
read my
education.
Again, they all need to get together and to ask proper questions. During a different hearing yesterday, Senator John Kennedy, he grilled Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. I mean, this is John Kennedy, by the way. Kennedy asks Lutnick about reciprocity trade deals. Play that clip.
If Vietnam, for example, came to you tomorrow and said, okay, Mr. Secretary, you win. We're going to remove all tariffs and all trade barriers. Would the United States please do the same? Would you accept that deal?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. That would be the silliest thing we could do.
Why is that?
Vietnam has a $125 billion exports to us and imports from us $12.5 million. And you're thinking, Vietnam exports $125 billion?
I'm aware of the figures, but tell me.
But where do they
you
get it from? They buy $90 billion from China, then they mark it up and send it to us.
So you
They're
wouldn't-
just a
you wouldn't-
pathway of China to us.
You wouldn't accept that deal.
No, it's a terrible deal. We're the one with money. We're the one with the
then
store. Of course they want us to take
what's
down.
the purpose of reciprocity then? Is reciprocity not one of your goals? Are you telling the president that we shouldn't seek reciprocity? If that's what you're telling him, why are you trying to do these trade deals?
What do we want? We want to encourage Vietnam to produce products they're great at producing.
But I want to get back to reciprocity. You just said you don't believe in you don't accept reciprocity as a goal. What are you negotiating in these trade deals?
Why would we open our bank account and their bank account when
Why are
ours is
you
10 times bigger?
negotiating trade deals? You're trying to get other countries to lower their tariffs and trade barriers in return for us lowering ours.
That's true for the things that they'll take from us.
That's called reciprocity.
Of course.
So are you or are you not seeking reciprocity in these trade deals?
We are absolutely seeking reciprocity with respect to things that can be reciprocal.
But you just said
when they're
Again, look, I know Howard Lutnick for about 24 years. He's so over his skis, with all due respect. Yeah, he built I should say he took over a major business, Cantor Fitzgerald. He has no fucking clue what he's doing. He has no fucking clue what he's talking about. He's completely unprepared for this hearing. And trust me, as somebody who spent seven congressional hearings, 9 hours apiece, 63 hours worth of hearings, you prepare for them, Howard. Meanwhile, Kennedy also asks Lutnick if he's familiar with the Trade Expansion Act. Lutnick admitting that he didn't understand the term. You're the Secretary of Commerce, you idiot. Play the clip.
Tell me your understanding of the Trade Expansion Act.
I don't have a really good understanding of the term. I may know the act, but I may not know its title.
You're not familiar with the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 that gives the president almost unlimited authority to impose tariffs so long as you conduct an investigation? You don't know about that?
Oh, my 232s, of course I do.
Okay.
Sorry, I just didn't know the title of the plan, but of course I know.
Why didn't you advise the White House instead of proceeding under other statutes? Why didn't you advise the White House to proceed under the Trade Expansion Act?
The president chose IEPA because he could do it swiftly and he could do it sweeping in order to address the underlying problems that had created the $1.2 trillion trade deficit that was haunting the United
Have you
States of
read
America.
the opinion?
Again, poor guy has no idea what he's talking about. He's so over his skis. It's why I constantly say, help me. Help me to build this community. If we build it, we will win. If we sit on our hands, we're going to get decimated in 2026. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.